You know, there's something powerful about keeping your vision to yourself in the early stages. We live in a world where everyone wants to announce everything. The moment someone gets an idea, they rush to post it, talk about it, share it, almost as if saying it out loud makes it real. But that's not how vision works. Vision isn't born in the noise, it's conceived in silence. It's sacred, and anything sacred must be protected from premature exposure. When God gives you a vision, a dream, a purpose, an idea, it's not meant for public consumption right away. It's meant for cultivation. Think about a seed. You don't plant a seed and then dig it up every few days to show people what it's becoming. You cover it, you let it sit, you let the unseen work happen beneath the surface. Because the moment you expose that seed too early, it loses the environment it needs to grow. That's what happens when we share too much too soon. We talk our dreams to death. We explain our calling to people who can't see what we see, and they start projecting their limitations onto our potential. You tell them your vision, and they tell you all the reasons it won't work, not because they're evil, but because their level of faith can't interpret your level of calling. They're seeing from a smaller lens, and when you let small minds interpret big visions, you start shrinking your dream to fit their comfort zone. Every great life story, in Scripture and in history, has a hidden season. Joseph had a dream, but before that dream became reality, he was hidden in a pit and then a prison. Moses spent years in the wilderness before stepping into leadership. Even Jesus spent 30 years in quiet development before 3 years of public ministry. That's not coincidence, it's principle. God doesn't display what he hasn't developed, and development always happens in private. Psychologically, this matters more than most people realize. When you speak too early about your plans, your brain releases the same satisfaction chemicals as if you've already achieved the goal. You get the reward before doing the work, and that false sense of progress kills momentum. It's why some people never finish what they start. They announce instead of act. They get addicted to the applause that comes from intention, not the fulfillment that comes from execution. So they stay stuck in cycles of inspiration without transformation. Your vision doesn't need validation. It needs verification through results. The proof isn't in the announcement. It's in the outcome. The person who learns to work quietly gains an advantage. You move differently when you don't have to defend your dream. You're not wasting energy explaining. You're building, you're becoming, you're growing roots that can handle the weight of future fruit. And when you finally emerge, people will say, where'd this come from? They won't know that while they were talking, you were transforming. They won't see the nights. You stayed focused, the prayers you whispered, the sacrifices you made. They'll just see the manifestation. And that's how it's supposed to be. Because vision revealed at the wrong time invites interference. But vision revealed at the right time commands respect. So guard what's sacred. Don't announce what's still forming. The seed of your destiny doesn't need an audience. It needs atmosphere. Silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Keep nurturing. Keep believing. Keep working in the dark until God says it's time to shine in the light. When the roots are deep, you don't have to fear the wind. So keep your vision underground until it's strong enough to stand on its own. Because what grows in silence speaks the loudest when it finally blooms. Not everyone who claps for you is meant to walk with you. That's one of the hardest lessons to learn when you're growing into your purpose. We often assume that the people around us will automatically understand our calling, believe in it, and support it. But the truth is, not everyone is assigned to your journey. Some people are good companions for a season, but not every season. Some are meant to witness your growth, while others are meant to water it. The challenge is learning to discern the difference. You see, when you share your dreams with people who aren't spiritually or mentally aligned with your calling, you invite confusion into your purpose. They can't see what you see because they weren't given your vision. It wasn't downloaded into their spirit, it was given to you. And when people can't see your vision, they often reduce it to the level of their own understanding. They'll say things like, are you sure that's realistic? Or I don't think that's your lane. But that's not their fault. They're responding based on their own lens. Their doubts are reflections of their limitations, not yours. That's why it's dangerous to seek validation from people who were never meant to validate you. When you do that, you begin to reshape your purpose to fit their perception. You start lowering your standards to match their comfort zones. You trade authenticity for approval. And the moment you do that, you lose momentum. Because purpose doesn't thrive in the soil of compromise, it grows in conviction. Think about Abraham. God told him to leave his country, his family, and everything familiar to go to a land he would show him. That instruction required separation before revelation. In other words, Abraham had to let go of certain people before he could receive clarity about his next chapter. The same principle applies to us. Some people can't go with you to the next level because their presence would dilute your progress. They were essential for your foundation, but not your future. And here's the psychological truth behind it. Energy is contagious. The people closest to you either multiply your belief or drain it. If you spend enough time around small thinkers, your big vision will start to feel excessive. If you surround yourself with people who live in fear, you'll start questioning your own courage. That's why you must be intentional about your inner circle. Choose people who challenge you to grow, not those who pressure you to stay comfortable. There's also a spiritual dimension to this. When God sets you apart for something specific, He often isolates you from the familiar, not to punish you, but to preserve what He's building in you. Sometimes separation is divine protection. The rejection you felt, the distance you experienced, it wasn't personal, it was purposeful. Because if the wrong people had access to your next season, they would contaminate it with old mindsets. You can't carry new oil in old containers. So instead of trying to make everyone understand what you're doing, focus on understanding it yourself. The right people will recognize your assignment without explanation. They'll see the evidence in your consistency, your discipline, your integrity. They won't need convincing. They'll discern the calling. That's how you know you've found the ones aligned with your purpose. And for those who walk away or don't believe in you, bless them and keep moving. Don't take it personally. Not everyone can handle the weight of what God placed on your shoulders. Some were meant to cheer for you from afar, not carry the vision with you. Let that be okay. Because at the end of the day, you don't need a crowd to confirm your calling. You just need the courage to keep walking in it. The wrong crowd can kill the right dream. So protect your circle, honor your assignment, and remember, alignment is greater than association. Surround yourself with those who feed your faith, not your fear. There's a point in your growth where you have to stop talking about what you're going to do and start letting your results speak for you. Talk has a way of making us feel productive, but it doesn't move anything forward. You can tell people about your plans all day long, but until there's evidence, until there's fruit, it's just sound, and sound without structure doesn't build anything lasting. There's a reason why the most effective people in life are often the quietest in the room. They're not busy explaining, they're busy executing. You see, when you talk about what you're doing, you gain temporary recognition. People nod, they clap, they encourage you. But when you produce results, you gain lasting respect, and respect will open doors that recognition never could, because recognition is based on what people hear about you. Respect is based on what they see from you. One fades with time, the other endures. This is where many people lose their edge. They trade discipline for discussion. They mistake conversation for construction. They get addicted to telling people about their goals instead of focusing on the work required to reach them. It's like planting a seed and then spending all your time describing what the tree will look like instead of watering it. The time you spend announcing could be the time you use advancing. Jim Rohn used to say, don't tell people what you're going to do, show them what you've done. And he was right. Because when you start showing, something shifts inside you. Your self-respect grows. Your credibility builds. You no longer need to persuade people to believe in you. Your work becomes your argument. People can debate your words, but they can't argue with your results. And let's be honest, results require a different kind of energy. Talking feels safe. Doing feels risky. Talking keeps you in control of perception. Doing exposes you to failure. But the only way to earn authority in any area of life is through the willingness to do the work that others avoid. When you move from intention to execution, you step out of fantasy and into formation. You start becoming the person your words have been describing. Psychologically, there's another layer to this. When you talk too much about your goals, your mind releases dopamine, the same chemical that's released when you achieve something, so you actually feel accomplished, just by talking about what you haven't done yet. That's why so many people lose motivation after announcing their plans. They already felt the satisfaction their brain tricked them into believing they earned. Silence keeps that energy contained. It keeps the hunger alive. Spiritually, too, results have a divine weight to them. Scripture says you will know them by their fruit. Not their words, not their promises, their fruit. The fruit is what validates the tree. And fruit doesn't appear overnight. It's the product of consistent cultivation. So if you want people to recognize what God is doing in your life, don't broadcast it, build it. Let the evidence speak when the time is right. People often ask, how do I make them take me seriously? The answer is simple. Produce, deliver, create, achieve. Consistency is louder than any speech. Over time, results silence doubt. Because when people can see what you've built, can't deny it. Your quiet persistence becomes undeniable proof of what discipline and faith can create. So, if you're in that phase where you feel unseen, unacknowledged, or underestimated, don't rush to prove yourself with words. Keep building, keep refining, keep producing. Because when the results show up, they'll speak for you in rooms you haven't even entered yet. In the end, the loudest statement you'll ever make is not with your mouth, it's with your life. Let your actions do the talking and let your results echo louder than any explanation ever could. Every time you explain yourself to the wrong person, you give away a little piece of your energy. You might not notice it at first, but there's a slow drain that happens when you try to make people understand something they're not meant to comprehend. Energy, like time, is a limited resource, and how you spend it determines how far your vision can travel. If you keep using that energy to justify your journey, you'll have none left to finish it. Think about it. Every dream, every idea, every pursuit requires fuel. That fuel is your focus, your belief, your emotional strength. When you start explaining your vision to people who doubt you, you're essentially handing them the matchbook and asking them not to burn your fire. But doubt is contagious. Even a single careless word, a skeptical look, a dismissive tone can start to chip away your confidence. Before long, you're questioning yourself, not because you lost faith, but because you let someone else's uncertainty interfere with your conviction. The truth is, not everyone deserves access to your explanation. Some people are not spiritually or emotionally mature enough to handle what you're carrying. It's not their fault, it's just not their assignment. They don't have the context for what God is doing in your life. And when you try to bring them into that space prematurely, you risk diluting the clarity that only comes from staying connected to the source that gave you the vision in the first place. Jim Rohn used to say, don't waste words on those who don't value them. That principle isn't about arrogance, it's about stewardship. You are responsible for managing your energy just as much as your time. Every conversation is an investment, and some investments don't pay dividends. They drain your account. You've got to learn to recognize those moments when your spirit says, stop explaining and start building. There's a psychological side to this too. When you constantly feel the need to explain yourself, what you're really seeking is approval. You want reassurance that what you're doing makes sense to others. But growth doesn't always make sense from the outside. Progress often looks messy in the middle. The greatest transformations in life don't come with clear explanations. They come with faith and persistence. And when you get comfortable not being understood, you free yourself to move at the speed of purpose rather than the pace of permission. It's a shift from trying to prove yourself to others to improving yourself for yourself. When you stop explaining and start executing, something powerful happens inside you. You preserve your mental energy, you protect your spiritual momentum, and you give your vision the quiet space it needs to mature. Silence, in this case, becomes strategy. Because silence can't be misinterpreted. Sometimes God hides what He's doing in your life precisely so it can't be interfered with when you explain too soon. You open the door for people to inject fear, distraction, or even unintentional sabotage. But when you stay quiet, you let God work uninterrupted. You let your purpose unfold naturally without external distortion. So the next time you feel the urge to explain, pause and ask yourself, is this conversation adding fuel to my fire or stealing it? If it's not fueling you, it's draining you, and drained people can't build destiny. Protect your focus the way a lion protects its cubs, fiercely, without apology. Don't waste divine energy on earthly opinions. What you're working on doesn't need to be explained, it needs to be executed. The results will be the only explanation you'll ever need. Remember this. The more you talk about what you're doing, the less power it carries. But the more you do what you're talking about, the louder your silence becomes. So save your energy for what matters. Building, creating, and becoming. Because when the work is finished, your results will make all the noise for you. Every person who's ever been called to do something meaningful has faced a season of silence. A hidden period where nothing seems to move, where nobody notices, and where the spotlight feels miles away. And yet that hidden season is one of the most sacred stages of growth you will ever experience. It's not punishment, it's preparation. The quiet parts of your life are where the foundation of your greatness is being built. It's where you're being shaped into the kind of person who can handle what you've been asking for. We often get impatient in those seasons. We look around and see others being recognized, promoted, or celebrated, and we wonder, when will it be my turn? But what we fail to realize is that the public reward always follows private refinement. You can't skip the hidden work and expect to stand strong under the weight of visibility. The roots have to grow deep before the branches can grow wide. Think about an architect. Before a building goes up, months, sometimes years, are spent digging and laying the foundation. It's not glamorous, and no one applauds that part. But that unseen work is what determines whether the structure will stand or fall. The same principle applies to you. God hides you not to delay you, but to develop you. The hidden season teaches you discipline, character, humility, and endurance, qualities that can't be taught in the spotlight. Psychologically, this is where true resilience is formed, when no one's watching and there's no applause to fuel you. That's when your motives are purified. You begin to understand whether you're chasing recognition or walking in purpose. The hidden season strips away the external motivators and forces you to find strength from within. It's in those quiet nights when no one sees the struggle that your faith and consistency are tested. And that's exactly what prepares you for the weight of future success. Philosophically, every great story follows this same rhythm: conception, incubation, manifestation. The incubation stage is the hidden one, where the vision grows in silence. The world sees the moment of manifestation, but it rarely honors the process of preparation. That's why people will call your success sudden, not realizing it took years of unseen effort to appear overnight. What looks sudden in public has been steady in private. Even Jesus went through a hidden season, 30 years in preparation for 3 years of ministry. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading a nation. David was tending sheep before fighting giants. The hidden places are where leaders are born. They are the classrooms of destiny. You may feel like you're stuck, but you're actually being strengthened. You're being refined for the responsibility you've been praying for. The danger is when you try to rush that process. If you force exposure before you're ready, the spotlight will burn what your character can't sustain. Growth without grounding leads to collapse. The hidden season is God's way of protecting you from premature visibility, because visibility before maturity can destroy destiny. So instead of resenting the silence, start respecting it. Instead of asking, why am I being overlooked? Ask, what am I being taught? Every delay carries instruction. Every closed door hides direction. The hidden season isn't God forgetting you. It's God fortifying you. You're not being buried. You're being planted. And there's a difference. What's buried is meant to stay dead. What's planted is meant to rise stronger, fuller, and more fruitful than before. So don't despise the days of obscurity. Use them. Study, build, strengthen, and prepare. Because when the time comes, you won't need to announce your arrival. Your preparation will reveal it. Remember this: hidden seasons aren't wasted time. They're invested time. The silence you endure today is shaping the strength you'll need tomorrow. So embrace your hidden season. When the roots are deep, the fruit will come. And when it does, it will last. There comes a moment when all the waiting, all the silence, all the hidden work begins to make sense. And that's the moment God reveals what He's been building in you all along. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to promote yourself. When the time is right, the evidence of your obedience becomes impossible to ignore. What's meant for you won't need to be forced. It will be revealed. The human tendency is to rush that process. We want people to see our progress, our purpose, our power. Now, we think that if others could just recognize what's inside us, it would somehow make the journey easier. But real elevation doesn't come from exposure. It comes from endurance. It's not about how fast you can be seen. It's about how faithfully you can serve before you're seen. When your season of revealing comes, it won't be because you pushed your way forward. It will be because your preparation finally met its moment. Think about it this way. A diamond doesn't announce itself when it's in the earth. It stays hidden under pressure until the right time. And when it's unearthed, it doesn't have to explain its value. Its brilliance speaks for itself. In the same way, your job isn't to market your greatness. It's to cultivate it. It's to keep refining your gift, building your character, sharpening your mind, and strengthening your faith when those things are in order. You won't have to chase opportunities. Opportunities will start chasing you. And that's the beauty of divine timing. God reveals something. He does it in such a way that no one can take credit for it. You won't need to justify your success or explain your arrival. The doors that open will be the ones you didn't have to knock on. The favor that finds you will be the kind you couldn't have earned through effort alone. That's what happens when you stay faithful in private. The unveiling becomes public, but the credit belongs to God. Psychologically, this is important to understand. When you stop trying to control how others perceive you, you free up the mental energy needed to master your craft. The more you chase recognition, the less attention you have for refinement. But when you let go of the need to be seen and focus instead on becoming excellent, you step into alignment with a deeper flow, what some would call divine rhythm. It's the difference between striving and becoming. One is fueled by insecurity, the other is driven by peace. Philosophically, revelation is not an event, it's a culmination. It's what happens when consistency collides with opportunity. You might not see results every day, but every disciplined action adds weight to your readiness. That's why it's so dangerous to compare your timing to someone else's. You don't know how long their process has been or what kind of preparation they've endured. Your timeline isn't delayed, it's customized. And when your moment comes, it will be worth the wait. Spiritually, this is where surrender meets wisdom. You do your part and God handles the rest. You plant, you water, you prepare. And then you trust that the harvest will arrive in its season. When you live that way, you walk lighter. You stop fighting for attention and start living with intention. You stop promoting yourself and start producing fruit that speaks for itself. And that's the secret. When your life bears fruit, you won't need to say a word. The right people will recognize it. The right doors will open, and the right opportunities will align. You won't have to convince anyone of who you are or what you're capable of. Your results will reveal it. So keep working in silence. Keep growing in secret. Keep trusting the process. Because when the season shifts and the curtain finally opens, you won't have to tell anyone what you do. They'll already know. Remember this, when God reveals, no one can conceal. Your job is not to announce your moment. Your job is to be ready when it arrives.